Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we were doing a recap review on the After Party from season 17, episode 13. Thank y'all for coming back today. If you didn't see my regular review yesterday, please take a look at it and give it a thumbs up. Just same thing with this video. I'll leave the link at the end of this video. But today we're going to talk about Emily and this nasty ass attitude she had. That's what I'm calling it. Nasty ass attitude that they had. I don't know what this pink is for that everybody been wearing, but maybe it's for sassy. Maybe it's for sassy because Emily came on this show locked and loaded. She had heat for everybody. She didn't just have heat for KEISHA Knight Pulliam, as a lot of you may have heard. She had it for Austin too. She had it for a whole lot of people. And I'm going to tell you, I got a different opinion of Emily. I'm not even going to say I have a different opinion. I'm saying I'm just going to let my opinion rip a little bit more, just like Emily did. Just like Emily said, you know what? She's been holding her tongue. She hasn't been saying some things that, been going on, because she was afraid. I wasn't afraid, but I was trying to give Emily a bit of a pass because I did see Emily as a victim to Brennan. I did. But I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot of shit I saw about Emily this season that I really didn't talk about. But I'm going to talk about it now because now that she's gotten in the ring, now that she wants to put on some gloves with KEISHA Knight Pulliam or anyone else, I said, well, shoot, let's straddle up. Let's straddle up and let's talk about it, Emily, because you got a lot of red flags too. You got a lot of red flags. And what I haven't liked all season is we haven't addressed none of them. We really haven't. We've been so on Brennan the whole time that one of the things I haven't liked about Emily is Emily hasn't addressed any of her own red flags, period. Has Emily even talked about the fact that it's a horrible thing that she likes one night stands? Have we seen her address that on camera? Has she admitted it to Brennan? Has she said anything to Brennan? She wants Brennan to admit everything about himself, things he's saying, things he's doing behind the camera, in front of the camera. When are we going to talk about some of your personality traits, Emily, that we know are got a problem? What about all this passive aggressiveness? Where even though you say you don't speak up, we look at your face. We hear your snide remarks you say to Brennan. We hear all the antagonism that you do as well. But yet we weren't saying too much about it because we didn't care about Brennan. We don't like Brennan and we were giving you a pass. But now it looked like you done gone rogue. It looks like you done gone rogue on the after party, and now you think you untouchable. And so now you snapping over here. You snapping on Austin. You snapping on KEISHA Knight Pulliam. Well, I guess today we're going to spend a little bit of time and snap on Emily. So when she first came on the show, she said she was tired. She already tired. She's tired of all these resets because nothing happens. So she's losing her patience with Brennan. So she's upset with Brennan. She's talking about, he's kind of a lot of words and no action. That's another thing she's saying about him. He says one thing, but nothing really ever happens. She's tired of that. She's frustrated once again. See, Emily's still frustrated on why Brennan doesn't like her. Is anybody out here still confused over what could possibly be some reasons why Brennan doesn't like Emily? Could it possibly be over her promiscuous past? And here's what I don't like about Emily. Emily doesn't give any thought. She doesn't have any self-awareness. And I'm not saying, listen, this is not going to be a video about taking up for Brennan because I've done a whole season talking about Brennan. So I'm not going to be talking about this episode. So I don't want nobody dropping down in my comments talking about, well, what about Brennan? What about Brennan? Go watch my other videos if you want to know what about Brennan. Today we're talking about Emily. What I don't like about Emily is I don't like Emily doesn't have any self-awareness. She can't seem to look within and see some things that maybe she's got a little bit of a problem with. Even this season, this last episode, when she was going on and on about her daddy and about how her daddy made her get up and go to soccer and play soccer and do this and make her practice and make her have some discipline. It was all from the standpoint of Emily was the victim of her father making her do things, and she couldn't speak up. And now we have her here with Brennan as well. Couldn't speak up to Brennan because she's afraid of Brennan. She's afraid of her father. Now she's sitting here snapping back at KEISHA Knight Pulliam, talking about how KEISHA Knight Pulliam is making her feel. KEISHA Knight Pulliam was making her feel bad. So one thing I notice about Emily is she actually does like to be the victim too. The victim of Brennan, the victim of her daddy, and the victim of KEISHA Knight Pulliam. And she doesn't take any accountability. Even when she talks about all this promiscuity with these men, it's always from the standpoint of why the men don't want to go out with me anymore, what the men are doing wrong, how the men are using me. What about you? What are you going to contribute to all these situations? One thing I know about Emily is undisciplined, period, point blank. She's undisciplined. She's undisciplined in her sex life because she has a bunch of one-night stands. That shows a lack of discipline. Okay, even though she played soccer, more than likely her father really was hard on her because he probably noticed she was undisciplined. She's undisciplined in her money. She told us that very early on. She told Brennan, I don't know where my money goes. I just spend it and spend it and spend it. I don't care nothing about it. She's undisciplined. She's undisciplined in her drinking because she drinks and gets drunk a lot. She doesn't know how to control her drinking. Emily is undisciplined. And more than likely, Emily is undisciplined in her tongue. Let's put it out there. She's undisciplined in her tongue. So one of the things that Brennan was bringing up about Emily is she's undisciplined in her tongue, which means she says one thing behind closed doors, just like she accuses Brennan of, but then she comes around and says something different. But the way that Emily has spun these things is she said, well, I'm a victim though. So we've given her a pass for being undisciplined. We've given her a pass for being double-minded. We've given her a pass because the way she's gotten out of it when she's been undisciplined is she says she's a victim. And then what we do is we rally around her and protect her. But if you think about Emily this whole season, every time Emily is complaining about something, it's because some people are trying to give her some discipline in her life and she doesn't want it. And then when you put pressure on her for some discipline, guess what she does? She cries. And that's what she did to KEISHA Knight Pulliam. The minute KEISHA Knight Pulliam started pressing her for an answer about what did you do, Emily? What did you do, Emily? What did you say, Emily? She broke down. She snapped back at KEISHA Knight Pulliam. And then next thing you know, she had the tears. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. I'm tired of giving Emily a pass because now that I know that Emily knows how to passive aggressively fight because she showed it. She showed her fighting KEISHA Knight Pulliam right here and there. She showed it. All those nasty remarks that she was saying, she showed it. I show a little bit of it right here. Right here, I'm going to show it.
This is the thing. This is the thing. You keep giving me your interpretation
I think you're trying to ask me a question that honestly is getting nowhere for like what we just observed.
No.
Do you have a different question? Like,
Emily.
There you go. She was on here attacking Austin too. Talking about, I can hear you upstairs when you're with Becca. She was the one that spilled the tea that even though they had that little flower and candles and all that little special moment, Austin was lying. She said, oh, you didn't even do all that. The producers help you. Austin was like, well, yeah, the producers help me. They go out and do the shopping. I ain't spending my money. But she was on the attack against Austin in her pink dress with her cast on. She was attacking him. Like I said, I ain't no fan of Austin either. But let me tell you what I'm not going to do no more. Emily don't get no pass no more from me. She going to get the heat like everybody else. Because now what I'm getting tired of with Emily is zero accountability for her too. And she wants to attack everybody else and tell everybody else what they do wrong. What about you, Emily? She just like those friends she brought to that dinner. Remember them aggressive drunk friends who came up and hemmed up Brennan? Birds of a feather flock together. That's Emily too. She just like them girls. They get drunk. They attack people with their words. Emily ain't as passive she wants people to believe she is. That she just sits around and takes everything that everybody gives her and she's a victim. And now she crying because her daddy treated her wrong and pushed her to try to be disciplined. Brennan's trying to push her to be disciplined in her words and her actions as well. Trying to tell her maybe you ought to do that with your money. And then when you put too much pressure on her, she cries. Maybe some of the shit Brennan is doing is warranted. I'ma say it. Maybe some of it is warranted. Maybe he's tired of it too. And maybe he doesn't have the correct way of dealing with her. Maybe there's some things about Emily, not maybe, I know there's some things about Emily that could frustrate a person. And Brennan already got anger issue problems, so he's the wrong one to be dealing with these issues with Emily. But Emily got issues. She got discipline issues. She doesn't like to have any accountability. And when you try to hold her accountable, she talks bad about you and she cries because she's done it with everybody. She's done it with everybody. The only reason she liked Dr. P is because Dr. P was taken up for her against Brennan. She likes to play the victim in front of everybody. And then you got Dr. P coming in here and attacking Brennan. Brennan deserved the heat. He did deserve the heat. But this little game that Emily's playing on the back end, Miss Victim all the time? Nah, I can see it in Emily. Because like I said, she was over there hemming up Austin, talking about, well, after you did that, I talked to Becca, and Becca said, didn't anything happen? That was all just for show. It didn't go nowhere. And Austin was like, yeah, it went a little further. And like I said, I'm not going to be getting on Austin and his lies. We already talked about him over here with his pagan catfishing people. But for Emily to insert herself in their business that much and start interviewing him, she darn near took over the interview with KEISHA Knight Pulliam. She was hemming up Austin. Austin had to say, well, that's my private business. Well, is it? Why is it your private business? You on a TV show? Well, let's talk about your private business, Emily. Let's talk about all these men you slept with, these one night stands, men that don't want to deal with you no more. What's your personal accountability in that? Let's talk about your private business. But now Emily don't want to talk about her private business. Emily, why don't we give some thought about why no men don't like you? You want to talk about everybody else and what everybody else is doing. What about you? What about all this drinking? Can we have a conversation about that? Nah, because pretty soon you're gonna blame the victim, and then you're going to sit over here and you're going to cry. Girl, KEISHA Knight Pulliam is more professional than me, because I would have snatched her up, her and that Chia Pet wig she got on, or weave, or whatever you want to call it. I would have snatched her up. KEISHA Knight Pulliam said, well, Emily, KEISHA Knight Pulliam tried to tell her, Emily, I'm not your enemy. But I would have told her, Emily, but I can be. I really can be. If you keep going down this road, I can make you an enemy of mine, and you won't like that position. But you know what? That's why I ain't on no TV show, because I'm unprofessional. I'm unprofessional. She even said that Brennan told her, Emily, if you be quiet, I'll go to couples therapy with you. Because obviously what Brennan was saying is she talks too much behind closed doors too. One thing we know about Brennan is Brennan doesn't want to let out any bad in public. That's the one thing I can say about Brennan. Brennan ain't being no hypocrite. Brennan ain't spilling all her tea and trying to keep his tea quiet. Brennan is saying, I want to keep everybody's business quiet. Because like I told you, I know about Brennan and his childhood. He's learned to keep family business quiet. That's what he's learned. He hasn't learned just to keep his business quiet. He's learned to keep family business quiet, period. So he's behind closed door, because this is what Emily said. He's been telling her, if you be quiet, I'll go to couples therapy with you. Because what Emily's doing in the house is Emily's running her mouth behind closed doors. I'm telling you, Emily is snapping back and running her mouth too. She's not as quiet as she says she is. She may not scream and yell. She may not throw no plates. But I can look at Emily and what she said to KEISHA Knight Pulliam with her two little words, with her little scrunched up eyes, with her little rolling of the eyes. It's enough. It's enough to trigger a person. It sure is. It's enough of it. It's enough that if your child looked at you and said the words that Emily said, you want to slap them in the face. You may not do it because that's child abuse, but it will be enough for you to want to do it as a parent. Sure would be. So Brennan ain't over here just keeping his secrets. He's keeping Emily's secrets too. He's keeping her secrets, but she better be careful. She really better be careful that she don't let Brennan loose out here in these streets and IG. Maybe we need to hear some more of Emily's secrets. Maybe Emily slept around with one of Brennan's friends. Who knows? She even said she done slept around town with one night stands. Maybe she done slept with one of Brennan's friends. I want Brennan to spill the tea. Instead of Brennan being quiet and holding the family secrets, I want a tell-all book, Brennan. I want a tell-all book, because now that Emily is over here saying, I want to speak up now because I've been silenced. Good, speak up, because we want to hear your truth too. We want to hear your truth as you see it, but we also want to hear your truth, because Brennan's been keeping your secrets too, Emily. I'm quite sure there's a lot more drunken episodes going on over here. I'm quite sure of it. And the fact that Emily don't want to address none of it, she don't want to take no accountability for it. And then when you start pressing her, asking her questions about what did she say, what did she do, she gets mad at you, she snaps on you, and then she starts crying and playing the victim. I've seen this before. I've seen this before. She didn't want to answer none of KEISHA Knight Pulliam's questions. She wanted to talk about what she wanted to talk about. That's why she was telling KEISHA Knight Pulliam, well, why don't you stick over here? Why don't you ask another question? I'll ask the damn questions I want to ask, Emily. I'm the host. You don't tell me what questions to ask. The audacity of you. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe enough people aren't asking you enough questions. Maybe enough people aren't holding you accountable. Maybe that's why your daddy was so hard on you, because he saw in you that you have a lack of accountability. You got a lack of discipline. Maybe he was trying to instill some discipline in you because he saw it in you as a child early on. And maybe he was trying to help you. Maybe that's why your mama didn't intervene on your daddy, because maybe your mama knew what your daddy was trying to teach you was going to be for your better good. Because here you now as an adult and you don't take accountability for nothing. You don't want to admit nothing you said, nothing you did, nothing. It's everybody else's fault. All these men, it's their fault. It's your daddy's fault. It's Brennan's fault. It's KEISHA Knife Pulliam's fault. When's it going to be Emily's fault? I challenge anybody. When has Emily talked extensively about some things she needs to do differently, and what are some of her own red flags? Has she even talked about anything? She walked around talking about sleeping with men like it was a badge of honor. I kept saying, I don't even know why Emily has been telling people that. She should have been ashamed of it. But nah, she wasn't ashamed of it. She acted like it was a badge of honor. That, oh, look at me, I can just sleep with men and leave them and don't do this. She was running around telling the whole reception. Why? Because she don't even think about no accountability. Nothing. Why would you run around and tell that story about yourself unless you think it's not a bad story and unless you think it makes you look good? What's she thinking about? And when KEISHA Knife Pulliam was pressing her and pressing, she said, well, I'm afraid to talk because he's pacing around the room and then he may throw some things at the wall or something else. And everybody's been wondering, well, why aren't you speaking up? Emily ain't that weak. In fact, when they did matchmaking, they said Emily wasn't weak, that Emily talks back. She even said it. Even in the wedding, the honeymoon, her friends, her family, everybody said they thought that Emily and Brennan were going to clash because they knew that Emily had a little bit of a mouth on her. That is what all her family said. And they said it about Brennan too. And they thought they were going to be going at it because they both had similar personalities. But the personality that we're seeing with Emily in front of the camera, maybe there's a different Emily behind the camera too. She's so busy over here saying Brennan's two different people. Maybe Emily is too, because I'm going to tell you something. This little outburst I saw of her on an after party, it tells me she got more in her. And it tells me she hasn't done a great job at hiding it all the time. And it tells me that Brennan has seen this side that we're seeing right now. Brennan has seen it before. He's seen it before too. So like I said, gloves are off with Miss Emily if she want to pop up, if she want to start popping off like the way she did. Because like I said, I've been seeing all along how undisciplined she is. I saw with those friends she got, birds of a feather flock together. Drinking is undisciplined. Her spending her money is undisciplined. Her tongue is undisciplined. Her double-mindedness is undisciplined. She's undisciplined, period. She don't take no accountability. And she don't want no one pressing her for accountability. So, Miss Emily, for these last couple of episodes, I've been bored this whole season, but I got something to do now. You've just now given me something to do. Thank you, Emily. Bye, y'all.